What's the word, good people? Ashe and Otep. Welcome back to Eat Up, and it's another episode having another conversation about conversation. It's your boy Zach Taylor. Much love to y'all. Shout out to everybody that's been tuning in, all the subscribers and people that's been giving me love and support and uplift on this journey, making content, uploading videos, and just shedding knowledge on the stuff that I've learned, stuff that I've come to study over the past few years. So definitely excited to keep this thing going. This episode in particular, I'm definitely excited about because I love talking, right? I can definitely be quiet into myself many times, but when I get into good conversation, a deep conversation with anybody, I can talk. So, but I have learned, I'm pretty sure many of you as well have learned that sometimes we waste our words with people. Or we don't have successful conversations or positive conversations. They become interactions that turn into a heated argument, and we end up leaving wondering how that it came to that. And so I just wanted to share some ways we can have good conversation, the art of conversation. And there may be some folks out here who are not really good at conversing at all. So I'm just giving you some tools and ways that you can be a good conversationalist for whatever reason that you maybe want to improve in, whether this be just trying to talk to the opposite sex, engage in better dialogue when meeting other business people, being able to engage in a successful dialogue when maybe trying to land a job or whatever the case may be, or just regular everyday conversation. So, but before I get into it, without any further ado, please like and subscribe if you have been enjoying this content, but you're not already a subscriber. And definitely share the content as well to get a lot of this material out to other people so that they can get some of this enlightenment and uplift as well. So let's get into it, man. We're going to be talking about the art of conversation. First question I want to ask y'all is, do you know how to engage in conversation? Like, actually sit back and think to yourself, like, do I actually know how to have a conversation? By definition, a conversation is an informal discussion, particularly amongst two persons, where news and ideas are exchanged. Now, I think the last part of that definition is very crucial because, again, like I said in the beginning, many of us have realized we have just exchanged words with persons and there wasn't any serious news that was exchanged or any ideas shared either. And we felt like we kind of wasted time and energy. But for whatever reason, we stayed in the conversation, right? Or the dialogue, I should say. But etymology tells us that it's a protocol-based interaction between system processing a transaction. So what is the purpose of a conversation? To learn and to share. News and ideas are exchanged so that we can learn and share with each other. I often wonder, and I'll ask you, what do you think the type of statement was the first made between the human race? Like if me and John were the first two humans on Earth, what do you think the first type of conversation was had between us? Was it a question about, what this material that we're in, this body that we're in, about a body part, or about our surroundings, or about the sun? Or was it a definitive statement or observation about what we see or what's going on around us? Right? Things that definitely play into what a conversation is all about today. Do you lead in most of your conversations, or are you typically the one who is learning, listening, and following? Think about how many of the conversations you have a day and conclude on average about how many of those conversations you yourself have actually initiated. So let's deconstruct some core elements, about 5 core elements to a conversation that can assist you in being a great conversationalist. Thus, people will always enjoy having a discussion with you. First core element is to inform. Be able to inform. If you are not contributing ideas or information, you don't add any value. If the topic is not to your understanding, inform the person you don't know. Maybe the conversation you might change. Transparency is always a good thing in conversation, especially when it's about a particular topic where two parties are exchanging information and ideas, as well as if the topic is not of your understanding. Well, just imagine how much it won't be to the other person's understanding. So only really try to inform as far as you know, and don't try to go beyond what you know, because you could be leading somebody into misinformation. Second component is body language. Many mannerisms and body language cues some of us have learned in school or even in our household, but many of us don't know. A lot of these I was unaware of and very oblivious to, because I practiced them, but I didn't know that they had any type of effect on how people were receiving the way I was engaging in a conversation and a dialogue. So the first one is, of course, many of us know, is the hand in your pocket. Many of us may have learned in business, you don't want to have your hand in your pocket when you may be trying to pitch somebody because you seem real salesy. Hand in the pocket is also a sign of you maybe not listening or being kind of stuck up in a sense. And this is in many, many aspects. It seems like the only time having your hand in your pocket is acceptable is when you are waiting in line or you're trying to keep your hands warm. Other than that, you don't want to be engaged in any type of social setting with your hands in your pocket. The next body language cue will be eye contact. This is pretty common between most people, but you want to have consistent and good eye contact with the person whom you are engaging in dialogue with, right? It is very, very common and known and felt amongst the general population that a person who cannot keep eye contact during a conversation, especially while they are speaking, is probably lying or does not know what they're talking about. Some people may not be comfortable with looking someone in the eye for a full 5-minute conversation. I know I'm kind of one of those persons. I just don't like, again, that's why I said I was unaware of some of these body language cues, because I was definitely that person who can look at you for a couple seconds while I'm giving a serious conversation about something, but I might look away a couple times too, for whatever reason. So I do keep in my mind that depending on who I'm talking to, I need to be 100% laser locked into their eyes, because they need to be able to receive 100% what I'm saying, because it's 100% genuine, as well as it gives off a vibe that you are genuinely listening and actively listening as well to the other person who is speaking. So always keep good eye contact. And a few other body language cues. Closed arms says that you're judgmental. Folded closed hands says that you're listening openly, and then hands behind your back says that you're listening, but you're ready for a rebuttal. So keep in mind those body language cues. The third component would be ask questions. I've learned, one of my first business coach always said that the person who asks the most questions is always in charge of the conversation or in control of the conversation. Ask good, simple questions. People love to talk about themselves. Ask questions to that person about that person, right? Ask follow-up questions about your question. Hey man, how was your day? Oh, it was great. Awesome. What was great about it? Again, this goes back to being a great conversationalist, because you could be talking with someone who has not been taught on how to really give good conversation. I know I realized in my early adolescent years that you could really ask somebody a question where you want some detail, like how was your day? And they'd be like, it was cool. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, I actually kind of wanted to know, like, how was your day? Like, what'd you do? How do you feel about your day? Was there any highlight of your day? Any, scare of the day? Maybe we could talk about it. So ask a follow-up question, right? Oh, if your day was great, what was great about it, right? This allows that person to now be able to open up and engage more in this dialogue, because again, they may not be able to do that initially on their own, but you can help them by just asking a follow-up question. Ask for additional information about what you're learning. Oh, that sounds nice. How'd you learn about that? Where can I learn more about this? Well, what does that mean? Just getting deeper into a conversation. Sympathetic and attentive listening. Actively listening to what is being said. Listen with sympathy. Not always looking for a flaw in a person's logic or reasoning. And listen to learn and understand, as opposed to listening to again, give your rebuttal. Listen to learn and understand, and also listen with sympathy, even if you know in your mind, in the moment, what a person is saying has some flaw to it. And so it's different when you're looking for a flaw in what is being said versus when you know as soon as you hear it, like, that's wrong. Doesn't mean you have to correct them immediately. Listen with sympathy. Be open-minded about the information that you're receiving or whom you're engaging with. Information, advice they might be giving you at the time, you may not be really wanting to hear it, but it may be suitable for you by the end of the day, by tomorrow, by the time you go into a new situation or a new environment, right? Be open-minded. I have learned that sometimes God is speaking to us through other people, and sometimes we are trying to block out what they saying us, and really that's the whole time God talking to us, telling us, like, this is what you need to do. You've been trying to figure out which direction you need to go in. This is what you need to do. So be open-minded to the people who try to breathe life into, who try to uplift you, right? Who try to enlighten you. And then the last component would be to challenge. As I wrap up this video, the last component is to challenge. But how do we challenge? Not challenge in a sense of, oh man, that's crazy, that's stupid. Why would you say something so dumb? Don't challenge a person to a point where it offends them, and now you two are engaged in a hostile conversation or a hostile dialogue when it never was intended to be that way in the first place. Try not to challenge the other, but ask why. Why do you think that way? What makes you think that? Why do you think that is? This allows them to be challenged in the mind, but also gives them room to come back with a peaceful, response. And at the same time, they don't feel attacked, right? And now you can get deeper to why they think the way they think, and maybe you can get closer to maybe shifting their mindset to getting to think how maybe you think, if that is your goal, right? Propose a task for them to try out. A piece of literature for them to read, or a video for them to watch. These are other mediums that you can challenge somebody with if you are trying to, sway them on their stance on a particular matter. If this is a debate that you guys are having, like a Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, I can give out stats and statistics and narratives all I want on who I think is the better player. But sometimes those things don't matter because people are already locked into how they think and their statistics and their philosophies on, who the better player is. But if I show them another video, might be a little different. If I give them a piece of literature, might be a little different. All right. If I, hey, try this out. Try this little tryout, this little test out, this test, right? And see what you come up with. Sometimes it's not about you telling somebody that their stance is wrong or that something is different, but they just got to see it from a different source, right? So, and then challenge them to challenge you. Prove me wrong. Come back with something that will make me think differently, that will make me think how you are thinking right now. I remember a few years ago, I was having a conversation with a mutual friend about one of my favorite rap artists and how good he was, his mic skills, his rhyme scheme, his use of metaphors and similes and wordplay, all that stuff. And, the guy who's older, telling me, he's like, man, he all right. And I'm just like, all right, nah, he's dope. He's one of the GOATs. He was like, show me some of his best tracks, right? Just think about it. If this person has only heard an artist on the radio, well, their opinion on that artist's work is a bit biased because they've only seen and heard certain types of that person's music. If you hear the same 3 songs by artists on the radio, but they got 15 other tracks on every album they do every year, well, then you only get to hear a bit of their arsenal. Just like if you only watch Steph Curry shoot threes on YouTube, well, you think, oh, he can only shoot threes. But if you don't watch a full game, you don't realize, oh man, this dude can shoot, he can dribble, he can pass, he can lead from the bench and get his team together, even though he's not physically on the court. Right? So challenge them to challenge you. Enlighten me. Right? Or I remember years ago I had a conversation with a mutual friend, about one of my favorite artists, and he challenged me and said, well, I don't think this guy is that good. And then he was like, well, send me like 15 songs, right, of some of like his best work and his rhyme schemes and all that work. Like send me some of your 15 favorite tracks, and then I'll do some dissecting. Because it's easy when we look at a specific lens of anything, right? If I say I don't like trap music, or I don't like a specific rapper, but I've only heard the rap songs that are on the radio by this person, but never have listened to an entire catalog to break down and dissect over a multitude of works how this person actually does their craft, it's kind of unfair to make a judgment. So enlighten somebody, challenge them by enlightening them, and then ask them to enlighten you as well. These components, especially with the challenging and asking part, shows that you are not so caught up in your own belief and your own thoughts and what you have to say in the conversation, but that you actually you care about what the other person has to say, and that you're willing to share the floor with somebody. And that means a lot, because if you can't really have a sophisticated debate or a conversation with somebody, how far can you really go when it comes to relationships, right? When it comes to, oh my gosh, doing business, right? When it comes to trying to sell your business, trying to sell yourself to other people, when it comes to just life, right? You got to have good conversational skills in order to do this, right? And when you're trying to land a new job, you got to have great conversation, especially when you are in disagreement with somebody. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the content. Please make sure you like, subscribe to the video, share it as well. Let me know in the comment section if you guys liked it, if you feel like there's anything that we can expound upon, or if you need questions on. I will definitely go into more detail, and we can probably chop it up on an individual rate. So once again, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Much love. Ashe and Otep.